They're called birds of paradise, but even that name doesn't do them justice. With electric blue feathers, antenna-like head plumes, and dance moves straight out of a video game, these birds don't just look unreal, they act like they know it. Found deep in the remote rainforests of New Guinea, birds of paradise are some of the most dazzling, outrageous, and downright mind-bending creatures on Earth. Some puff themselves into glowing orbs. Others wave feather wires in perfectly timed dance rituals. And a few, they've evolved beauty so extreme, scientists still don't fully agree on why. Today we're counting down 15 birds of paradise so jaw-dropping, you'll swear they were designed by an alien fashion team. So forget your backyard robin. This is nature's most ridiculous flex, but which one takes it to the next level? Let's find out. Let's start with a bird that looks like it wandered straight out of an animated movie. This is the Wilson's bird of paradise, a creature so bold in color, it makes parrots look like grayscale sketches. Picture this, a glowing turquoise head, so vivid it almost looks radioactive. The skin isn't feathered, it's bare and shockingly bright, shaped like a perfect blue donut. Then there's the rest of him, a crimson chest, lemon yellow back, emerald green wing feathers, and two spiraling black tail wires that curl like springs. Nature didn't hold back here. This bird is a living neon sign. But what really sets Wilson's bird of paradise apart isn't just how it looks, it's how it performs. Before dancing for a female, the male does something incredibly human. He cleans, like really cleans. He clears a patch of forest floor, removing every leaf, twig, and piece of moss until it's spotless. That's his stage. And when the performance begins, it's part ballet, part glitchy video game. He hops, twirls, freezes midair, and flashes his feathers like a psychedelic light show, all for the briefest glance of approval from a nearby female. And if she's not impressed, she's out. No second chances. Fun fact, even though this species was discovered over 100 years ago, the first footage of it in the wild wasn't captured until 2006. That's how remote and elusive it is. The Wilson's bird of paradise may be tiny, but it kicks off our list with a performance that's anything but small. Now, if Wilson's was bold, this next bird is downright hypnotic. The magnificent bird of paradise is basically nature showing off. Like, let me show you what Photoshop would look like in real life. The male is a compact bird with an iridescent green chest plate, a velvety black body, and a bright yellow cape-like mantle draped over his back. But the real show starts when he transforms. During courtship, he flares out his breast shield, yes, it flares, into a perfect semicircle, creating a luminous green arc. His wings stretch straight out, his tail lifts, and suddenly he's no longer a bird. He's a floating, pulsing symbol glowing in the shadows of the jungle. He sways rhythmically, bouncing side to side in a trance-like dance, while the female watches, quietly judging, from above. And this whole performance, it only happens if he's managed to clear and maintain a dance floor on the forest floor. Any fallen leaf or twig could ruin the symmetry and his chances. It's part martial arts kata, part ritual theater, and 100% designed to impress. From above, the female sees not a bird, but a living emblem, a bright green arc and two glowing eye spots hovering in darkness. Some researchers have compared it to a tribal mask or even a logo. He doesn't just dance, he becomes the dance. Fun fact, despite being one of the most photographed birds of paradise today, the magnificent bird of paradise was only filmed performing this full display in the wild in the 1990s. Before that, scientists only had sketches and rare museum specimens. Don't let the name fool you. The king bird of paradise is no towering figure. In fact, he's the smallest of all the birds of paradise, barely the size of a hummingbird. But what he lacks in size, he more than makes up for in style. This little firecracker has a bright red body, white belly, and emerald green spots on his shoulders that shimmer like polished gems. And then there's his tail, two long, thin wires ending in spiral discs that look like candy canes or tiny red spirals straight out of a cartoon. When it's time to impress a female, the king doesn't dance on the ground. Oh no, he hovers like a living ornament, bouncing on a branch and swinging those spiraled tail feathers like party streamers. He flips upside down, flashes his wings, and throws in a few wing flicks that look more like a magician trying to distract an audience than a bird flirting. From the female's point of view, the red body, white belly, green dots, and spinning red spirals create a surreal display, almost like watching a bouncing pinball made of feathers. And yes, he sometimes does all of this upside down. Nature really went all in on this one. Tiny body, oversized confidence, and a dance that's as quirky as it is precise. Fun fact, the kingbird of paradise is so distinctive that early European explorers thought it was a completely different family of birds. They couldn't believe something this strange came from Earth. Some even thought the tail feathers were glued on by local tribes. Spoiler alert, they're very real. If birds had a fashion week, the Laws' parotia would be the headliner, complete with costume changes and a perfectly choreographed dance routine. Native to the mountain forests of Papua New Guinea, this male bird is a black-feathered performer with iridescent green throat scales and a silky chest shield that shimmers like liquid metal. But what really grabs attention? His 6 wire-like head feathers, 3 on each side, that curve outward like delicate antennae. He looks like a bird wearing a science fiction crown. But wait until he starts to dance. First, he clears a dance floor under the forest canopy, making sure every leaf and twig is gone. Then the show begins. He fans out his side feathers into a perfect tutu-like skirt, crouches low, and starts bobbing, bouncing, and spinning like a ballerina with attitude. His head jerks, his antennae bounce, and the shimmering chest plate flashes as he pivots left and right, all while staring up at the female perched above him like a fashion judge. To her, it's not just a dance, it's a test. Is his skirt full enough? Is the rhythm sharp? Is the shine dazzling enough in the light? It's high-stakes choreography, and he has seconds to get it right. And yet somehow it's graceful, hypnotic, and kind of adorable. Fun fact, the Laws' parotia is one of only a few bird species in the world known to use mirroring, repeating the female's subtle movements back to her, almost like a courtship duet. That's right, he dances with her, not just for her. Okay, so you've seen bright colors, you've seen skirt dances and neon heads. But now let's get weird. Meet the 12-wired bird of paradise, a bird with a fashion accessory so bizarre, it looks like a living brush. The male sports jet black plumage with a vibrant yellow back. But the real stars of the show are the 12 long, wiry filaments that extend from his flanks. 6 on each side. These wires are stiff, bouncy, and oddly perfect for tickling. That's right. When it's time to court a female, the male perches on a vertical branch and strikes a pose, standing tall with his chest puffed out like he's about to perform a magic trick. Then comes the weird part. As the female approaches, he brushes those 12 wires across her face and neck in a rhythmic, deliberate motion, back and forth, like he's using a fancy feather duster on royalty. This isn't random. The female watches closely, analyzing every move. She's checking the shine of the wires, the balance of the brushwork, the confidence of the presentation. If he messes it up, no second act. And it's all done in perfect silence. Just the rustle of feathers in jungle ambiance. He doesn't sing. He doesn't hop. He just brushes. Fun fact, those strange wire feathers are actually highly sensitive and connected to specialized muscles. The male can move them individually, almost like fingers, giving him total control over every swipe. Imagine if a bird suddenly stopped being a bird and turned into a walking, glowing cartoon face. That's not sci-fi, that's the superb bird of paradise. At first glance, the male looks simple, all black feathers with a touch of blue-green iridescence on the chest. But when a female shows up, he transforms, literally. The male flips up a set of hidden blue feathers around his neck and fans them out into a glowing, crescent-shaped smile. Then he spreads his black wings in a full circle, forming a pitch-black oval around his face. The result, a surreal two-dimensional image floating in midair. Bright blue eyes, a curved mouth, and a black oval body, like a living emoji dancing in the dark. And oh yes, he dances. He hops side to side, shuffling fast in a U-shape, staring straight at the female perched nearby. His rhythm is fast and frantic, like he's glitching through space-time. For the female, this isn't just a performance. It's a test of timing, symmetry, and shine. If even one move is off, she's out. But when it works, she stays. And somewhere in that forest, a tiny jet-black bird just unlocked a date using what looks like a prehistoric hologram. Fun fact, for years, scientists thought there were two species of superb bird of paradise because they didn't realize the males changed appearance so dramatically during courtship. That's how convincing the transformation is. Picture a shadowy figure in the jungle, spreading his cloak with theatrical flair and performing a silent ritual beneath a beam of sunlight. You're not watching a scene from a fantasy movie, you're watching the Victoria's riflebird. Native to the rainforests of northeastern Australia, this species is one of the few birds of paradise found outside of New Guinea. And while he doesn't wear neon colors or spiral tail wires, he makes up for it with elegance and mystique. The male is dressed in sleek black feathers with a shimmering patch of iridescent blue-green on his throat and breast, like a gemstone hidden in shadow. But it's what he does with those feathers that makes him unforgettable. When a female is near, he raises his wings high above his head and begins to move. Slowly, deliberately. He sways left and right, keeping eye contact, flashing his glowing chest plate like a signal light. His wings ripple like a cape in the wind. It's part martial arts, part seduction, and entirely mesmerizing. And here's the twist. He doesn't face the female head on. Instead, he approaches sideways, one wing raised high, like a magician revealing a secret. If she flutters or moves, he adjusts. The timing has to be perfect. There's no song, no leaping, no upside-down antics. Just silence, control, and confidence. Fun fact, the name riflebird comes from early European settlers who thought the bird's black, glossy plumage looked like the uniform of riflemen in the British Army. Victorian soldiers meet Victorian elegance. Not all birds of paradise are out there throwing dance parties. Some are whispering in the shadows. Meet the pale-billed sicklebill, a bird so secretive, some scientists thought it had disappeared for good. It lives deep in the dense lowland forests of Papua, where sunlight barely touches the ground. At first glance, it doesn't scream paradise. Its feathers are dark, muted, almost oily in texture. But in the right light, you'll catch flashes of bronze, green, and deep purple that shimmer like a quiet storm. And then there's that beak, long, curved like a sickle, pale ivory in color, giving the bird its name and an almost prehistoric silhouette. Unlike the flamboyant dancers of its family, the male pale-billed sicklebill prefers stillness. He doesn't bounce or twirl. Instead, he perches quietly in the shadows and emits a series of soft, whispery hisses. A sound so faint that even nearby animals might miss it. There's no bright shield, no aerial flips, no giant feathers waving, just this slow, minimal performance. To the female, though, that restraint is the point. It says, I'm confident enough to not show off. It's subtle, it's strange, it's kind of smooth, honestly. Fun fact, the pale-billed sicklebill was once believed to be extinct. No confirmed sightings for decades. Then one was spotted in the 1980s in a remote valley, alive and well, just quietly doing its thing like nothing happened. Sometimes mystery is its own kind of magic. If you thought peacocks had the longest tail feathers in the bird world, think again. Meet the ribbon-tailed astrapia, a bird that looks like it was part of a silk fashion show in the middle of the rainforest. The male has a jet-black body with a shimmering green-blue head and neck. But no one's really paying attention to that, because his tail is absolutely bonkers. He has two white tail feathers that stretch out behind him like glowing ribbons, each one nearly 3 times the length of his body. Let that sink in. His body is around 12 inches, but his tail, over 3 feet long. He doesn't walk, he glides, and when he takes off, those tail feathers trail behind like streamers caught in the wind. But having a tail like that isn't just for looks, it's also a serious challenge. Flying through dense rainforest with 2 3-foot ribbons behind you is not exactly practical. So what does he do? He performs in open clearings where he can leap between branches and let those tails flow like a ballerina's veil. During courtship, he perches high and puffs his chest, bouncing up and down while that tail slowly waves behind like a hypnotic pendulum. Females, of course, notice, because in the bird world, if you're risking getting tangled in vines just to look good, that's dedication. Fun fact, the ribbon-tailed astrapia holds the world record for the longest tail feather relative to body size of any bird. It's like having legs longer than a city bus and still making it fashion. While some birds of paradise look like sci-fi creatures, this one looks like pure poetry. The bluebird of paradise is often called the most beautiful of them all, and when you see him in motion, it's easy to understand why. The male wears a coat of shimmering electric blue feathers set against deep black wings in a snow-white belly. But it's not just the color, it's how he moves. During courtship, he hangs upside down from a branch, gently swaying back and forth like a pendulum. His long twin-tail feathers, soft ribbon-like plumes, dangle below him in elegant curves. And then he begins to sing. His call is soft, almost mournful, rising and falling in slow, melodic tones. While he sways, he flashes his wings open in slow motion, revealing layers of hidden blue and black. It's not a flashy dance. It's not an explosion of feathers. It's graceful, controlled, romantic even. The female perches nearby, watching like an art critic in a private gallery. And that's what this display feels like. Not a concert, not a fashion show, but a private performance, intimate, quiet. In a forest full of chaos and color, the bluebird of paradise offers something rare: elegance. Fun fact, the bluebird of paradise was once so sought after for its feathers that it nearly disappeared from parts of its native range. Today, it's protected and still considered one of the crown jewels of Papua New Guinea. What if birds could grow an extra pair of wings just for the show? Meet the standard-winged bird of paradise, a performer with not 2, but 4 wing-like appendages. Native to the island of Halmahera in Indonesia, this male bird might look plain at first glance: olive green back, white chest, a touch of shimmer. But when the female arrives, he flips the switch. Suddenly, 2 long white plumes shoot up from his shoulders and wave dramatically over his back, like flags unfurling in slow motion. These are the standard wings, long ribbon-like feathers that sway independently of his real wings. They don't help him fly. They're purely for display. And when he jumps into the air to perform, those feathers flutter and flicker above him like sails in the wind. He jumps again and again. In a flurry of motion, he becomes a blur of bouncing energy, a bird trying to defy gravity and win hearts at the same time. Unlike many other birds of paradise who perform alone, the standard wing dances in a group, a lek, where several males display together, each trying to outbounce and outflag the others. It's loud, chaotic, and theatrical. And when a female flies in to judge, the entire forest goes silent. For one breathless moment, all eyes are on her. Fun fact, the standard wing was the first bird of paradise ever described by Western science, discovered by Alfred Russel Wallace in 1858. But because of how strange it looked, some scientists didn't believe it was real until decades later. If a shadow could come to life, it might look like this bird. Meet the black sicklebill, a long, dark, elegant figure that moves like a spirit through the rainforest. His name comes from that massive curved beak, shaped like a scythe. But it's not just his weapon-like profile that makes him unforgettable. It's the dance. When a female is near, the male transforms his already sleek body into something otherworldly. He fans out his jet black wings and tail into a crescent shape, then points his beak straight to the sky, motionless, like a statue. From the female's view, he becomes a shimmering black arc, like a living solar eclipse. But this isn't a flashy, colorful performance. It's theatrical, mysterious, slow. He doesn't jump or spin, he hums. That's right. The black sicklebill produces a series of mechanical, high-pitched notes that sound more like a sci-fi soundtrack than a bird call. Some even compare it to a laser beam. Between each call, he holds completely still. Wings spread, body arched, beak lifted. It's eerie, mesmerizing, and strangely beautiful. The female approaches slowly, carefully, as if she too is caught in the spell. Fun fact, the black sicklebill's courtship display is so unusual that for decades, scientists didn't even know what they were looking at in field footage. Some early videos captured the arc shape, but not the bird, and researchers thought it was a plant or some strange forest-like trick. Nope, just one seriously committed performer. Not all birds of paradise are performers in flashy costumes. Some are born with a voice that shakes the forest. The curl-crested manucode is one of the lesser-known members of the family and one of the most mysterious. He doesn't have explosive colors or feather fans. Instead, he wears sleek, greenish-black plumage with a metallic sheen, like oil on water. But what really catches your eye? That wild, curly crest, spiraling feathers that sit on his head like coiled wires or vintage rocker hair. It gives him a permanent, I woke up fabulous look. But it's not his look that gets attention, it's his voice. Deep in the jungle canopy, the male lets out a call that sounds more like a wail than a bird. A booming, echoing whoop that rolls through the forest like thunder. And he's loud. His voice can carry more than half a mile through dense rainforest. That's like singing from one end of Central Park and being heard at the other. Scientists believe the manucode evolved this vocal power to reach females across vast forest territories. No dancing needed, just pure vocal domination. And the female? She listens from afar. If she's impressed, she comes closer. If not, well, he'll keep singing. Loudly, all day. Fun fact, the curl-crested manucode has an inflated trachea. Part of his windpipe loops around his chest and acts like a built-in amplifier. It's the biological equivalent of carrying a subwoofer in your ribs. If fairy tales had birds, this would be one of them. The Princess Stephanie's astrapia is named after a real royal, Princess Stephanie of Belgium, and it absolutely lives up to the regal name. With silky black plumage, a shimmering green throat, and an impossibly long twin tail that trails behind like satin ribbon. The male looks like he's gliding in slow motion, even when perched. His tail feathers stretch up to 3 feet long, creating a shape that's both elegant and surreal. But despite his beauty, sightings of this bird are incredibly rare. It lives high in the montane forests of Papua New Guinea, deep, remote, and shrouded in mist. For years, some researchers believed it might be a hybrid or even a legend. That's part of what makes it magical. The male doesn't put on elaborate dances like his cousins. Instead, he takes a more royal approach, perched high, tail draped gracefully, letting the wind do most of the work. Sometimes he fans his tail and makes a few elegant hops, like a prince acknowledging his court. He doesn't need theatrics. His presence alone commands attention. And when the sunlight hits him just right, green, blue, and violet ripple across his feathers like gemstones in motion. Fun fact, Princess Stephanie's astrapia is so elusive that the first clear photographs of a wild male weren't captured until the 1980s, over a century after it was named. Some locals believed it was a ghost bird that only appeared before storms. Imagine watching a bird with 2 antennae sticking out of its head. Not feathers, not horns. Actual, wiggling, blue and white antennae that wave around like radio receivers in the wind. Meet the King of Saxony bird of paradise, nature's weirdest engineer. The male sports 2 impossibly long head plumes. Each one can grow up to 20 inches, more than twice the length of his body. These feathers don't hang down, they stick straight out, bouncing and flexing like a pair of live wires. And yes, he can control them. When trying to impress a female, he flicks them independently, making them wave and swirl like magical feelers. Paired with his loud, buzzing call, which sounds more like an electric razor than a bird, the whole display feels less like courtship and more like alien communication. But weird as it looks, it works. The female watches intently from a branch above as he hops, flutters, and flexes those head whips in every direction. From the side, he looks like a tiny black bird piloting his own two-antenna spaceship through the rainforest. And those feathers, they're not soft. They're stiff and textured like wires, with tiny scalloped flags that catch the light. Scientists still aren't sure how females judge the performance. Is it the symmetry, the movement, the sound of the feathers cutting the air? All we know is, the weirder, the better. Fun fact, when early European explorers first saw the King of Saxony, they thought the head plumes were fake decorations sewn in by tribespeople. It took actual dissection to prove. Those wires really do grow from his head. So, which one left you speechless? The dancer with a glowing smile? The one with built-in radio antennae? Or maybe the silent type that sings like a jungle ghost? The birds of paradise aren't just beautiful, they're bizarre, they're brilliant. They're nature's way of reminding us that evolution has a wild sense of humor and a flair for drama. And here's the crazy part. Most of these birds live in just one place on Earth, and many are at risk of disappearing forever. So the next time you see a tree or hear a bird call, just remember, out there in some misty rainforest, a tiny black bird might be turning into a living emoji just to win a date. Which one surprised you the most? Drop your favorite bird in the comments, or tell us if we missed one you love. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more wild wonders from around the world. And hey, we're just getting started.